tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us. And remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Sober Sunday. Sober Sunday. Good morning. Yeah, barely morning. Barely morning. Good morning to Amber and Brax, who are driving to the game, even though they don't even know the person is playing halftime. Brett Michaels actually kind of surprised me. With all the music, it kind of surprised me that you didn't know who Brett Michaels was. Every rose has its thorn. That right there. Morning, Michelle. Good to see you. I put on my Bronco jersey over my church shirt. Okay. I don't think you understood what I was saying there. Yeah. So we recorded. Well, he was the lead singer of Poison, silly. You'll know him once he starts singing and stuff. It'll be one of those. Yeah. I wouldn't expect that you'd know his name. Just a lot of girls knew his name because they were, oh, Brett Michaels, he's so pretty. He's so pretty. He is a pretty good looking guy. I'll admit it. I don't mind admitting that somebody's a good looking guy. Doesn't bother me. So always kind of been that way. Got to do some work at the church today. Went and did the sound down there. They're always so appreciative and everything. I really appreciate it. He's performing for Uncle Sean's birthday. We'll go for that. That makes it sound cool. That's my speaker. I'm like, why is my coffee cup in the screen? That's my speaker. I had to move things around and stuff. So, but yeah, it's nice to be able to go do these things for my community. There's not that many people there. It was me, a bunch of elderly women, and a young man who was about 9 who was helping his grandma out. So that was kind of cool. But yeah. So lazy days and Sundays, right? Just turn on the fan. That's right. It's too warm with this on. That's all right. I got to represent, even if it doesn't match. Actually, what I'm doing right now with wearing a collar with this shirt, it's like wearing socks with sandals. What if I do that? No, it doesn't help at all. All right. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for Dion's Daily Funnies. One day we're going to run out of jokes. Run out of jokes. All right. I did that one. All right. What is a shark's favorite saying? Man overboard. Man overboard. I'm going to give a heads up here real quick. My computer, I think something's going on with the internet today. So if this suddenly goes away, don't be surprised. All right. What did one slice of bread say to the other before the race? You toast, man. You toast. Morning, Heather. We're just doing the daily funnies right now, but good to see you. I poured some water over a duck's back yesterday. I don't think he cared. I don't get that joke. I don't even get that joke. I poured some water over a duck's back yesterday. I don't think he cared. Oh, okay. It's the saying from water off a duck's back. Whatever. How did how did I know my girlfriend thought I was invading her privacy? She wrote it in her diary. So you find out that your girlfriend thinks that you're invading her privacy because you read her journal. Okay. Oh, it's because welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. We're gonna be talking tradition too today. I'm just gonna kind of let you know. Our leaders are but trusted servants. We do not govern. We don't have leaders in AA. No. I, nobody is more prominent. Nobody is more important than anybody else in AA. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I think this confuses a lot of people. Yeah, water off is back. Yeah, I finally figured it out, Michelle. Kinda. Maybe it just wasn't funny. Maybe there's that. Welcome everybody. Oh, ah. All right. So, ultimate authority. So I'm going to read the reflection first. What I'm going to do. So when I am chosen to carry some small response, there'll be a little bit of okay for our group purposes, but one ultimate authority, loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscious 12 steps traditions 132. When I am chosen to carry some small responsibility for my fellows, I ask God grant me the patience, open mindedness, and willingness to listen to those I would lead. Okay. I must remind myself that I am a trusted servant and others and not a governor, teacher, or instructor. All right. I don't think the person's quite getting it here. They're not leading anybody. We vote. We vote. Well, I guess sometimes there's leadership stuff. This week I decided I said, hey, let's try and record the speaker meeting. And we recorded it. The guy was okay with it. But everybody turned their camera off. And I understand why. Right? I am not upset that people turn their camera off. No. I'm not really upset about anything. But I just noticed it's like, okay, everybody turned their camera off. Even though I said I wasn't recording the video, right? But it's their choice. We have our own level of anonymity. But then what happens is then the speaker is speaking and he doesn't see and you don't see the reaction from people. Have you ever told your story and all the cameras are off? It is so much harder to do. It's a lot harder to do because see, when you're speaking and you say something, you're looking for a reaction from the crowd, and if you don't get it, your brain's going to fall. Well, this guy was a pretty good speaker, so we got away with it. But we had somebody this they were telling their story for the first time. Oh man, that would have messed with them. And for me anyway. And so, I brought up, I don't think that we should record it. We're going to vote on it in group conscious, is what's going to happen. And that's what should have been done in the first place. Now, why did it happen? Because I wanted to appease the people in the group. I was trying to be nice. I didn't think of everything, right? Made a mistake, no big deal. I'm the one that said let's do that, so I'm taking responsibility for it. If there's anybody here to blame, it's me, actually, right? So, um, so I'm going to bring the group that we do not record it anymore. We need to give respect to our speakers and those people. That's where I think. So, um, that's that's kind of what we're talking about. See, I took up what I thought was, you love my Bears jersey. Jimmy comes strolling in just to stir the pot. You're hilarious, Jimmy. Oh, I my a good friend of mine was the center for Trent Green at Chicago University, or whatever big school there was, and he was the Trent Green was the quarterback for Kansas City Chiefs for a very long time. Great quarterback too. But so seeing that where I kind of, you know, now I started the meeting and things like that. People trust my opinion, and I appreciate that. In this case, I made a wrong decision, but it's okay. You know, nothing went so wrong that apologies need to be made. But really, we need to take a look at the person taking their time to tell us their story. They're probably the most important person in the room, right? So this is exactly why we vote. Because see, if we would have brought it up for vote, what would have happened? Somebody probably would have said, if you do that, I'm going to turn my camera off, and then that would make me think, well, everybody's going to turn their camera off, right? There we go. So that's why the group conscious is so important. Okay? Was a mistake made? Yeah, and it was my mistake. Wasn't anybody else's. So I took responsibility for it this morning, right? So tradition two, where does AA get its direction? Who runs it? This too is a puzzler for every friend and newcomer. When told that our society has no president having authority to govern it, no treasurer who can compel the payment of any dues, no board of directors who can cast an erring member out of the darkness, when indeed no AA can give another directive or enforce obedience, our friends gasped and explained, this simply can't be. There must be an angle somewhere. These practical folk then read tradition 2 and learn that the sole authority in AA is a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscious. Now, this isn't the God that you think it is, it's everybody's higher power, it's everybody's concept, which just adds more to it. It brings more love, it brings more understanding, patience, empathy, right? Yeah. It sounds weird. How does this erratic band of alcoholics do this crap? Well, the guidance of a higher power. Okay. Now, do we argue in group consciousness? Yes, that does happen, but it needs to be more of a debate to get to the right answer. There are plenty of times when a vote has not gone the way I thought it would, and I was incorrect in it. Later down the line, I saw I was incorrect in my vote. So I was like, see the power of democracy in this case. No one person is, you might have somebody leading the group conscious, but that's as far as it goes. All they're going to do is determine what next, keeps it organized, keeps it civil, that kind of thing. Right. Um, they dubiously asked an experienced a member if this really works. The member is sane, like the member sane to all appearances. Immediately answers, yes, it definitely does. The friends mutter that this looks vague, nebulous, pretty naive to them. Then they commence to watch us with speculative eyes, pick up a fragment of AA history, and soon have the solid facts. What are these facts of AA life which brought us to this apparently impractical principle? Here we go. Is this the this one's one of the this was one of the longer ones, so we may not get all the way through it. John Doe, a good AA, moves, let's say, to Middleton, USA. Alone now, he reflects that he may not be able to stay sober or even alive if he if unless he passes on to other alcoholics what was so freely given him. He feels his spiritual and ethical compulsion because hundreds of suffering within reach of his help. Then, too, he misses his home group. He needs other alcoholics as much as they need him. He visits preachers, doctors, editors, policemen, and bartenders, with the result that Middleton now has a group and he is the founder. Now, what's kind of cool here is things have changed, right? If this is a Zoom group, We've had there's a couple people in our in grassroots that have moved, but they're still able to go to the meeting. That's one of the benefits of Zoom, right? So it has changed a little bit, but have you ever started an AA meeting? I've started a few. Right. I've started a few, and no, not. I'd have to say a lot of them didn't work. They ain't quite work. Right. So we're testing, and that's all right. Okay. Grassroots took hold. It took hold. All right. So it worked. It was that's because it's my arena there, right? So I started that group. I wrote the format. I picked the times. I set up our Zoom. I did everything from A to Z that need to be done to start a new meeting. Right. Now, things started to change when other people started to come on, right? And we start to conform. So, being the founder, he is at first the boss. Who else could be? Very soon, though, his assumed authority, and it is an assumed authority, I would agree with that, to run everything begins to be shared with the first alcoholics he has helped. At this moment, the benign dictator becomes the chairman of the committee composed of his friends. These are the growing group's hierarchy of service, self appointed, of course, because there is no other way. In a matter of months, AA booms in Middleton. Right now, once this gets started, one of a few things is going to happen. I'm gonna let you know now. If you start a meeting, the intention needs to be that you're going to give up everything. Yeah. See, the mating only makes it on the day that the person that started the meeting doesn't show up and it runs as normal. That means we've gotten to a point, right? That's usually what it needs. That or that they don't always need Dion there in order to make a decision. I don't have to be a part of it. If I miss group conscious and a vote is made, then a vote is made. Period. I tell you something, I trust the people in that group to make the right decision. I really do. The founder and his friends channel spirituality. Newcomers hire halls, make hospital arrangements, and entreat their wives to brew gallons of coffee. Being on the human side, the founder and his friends may bask a little in the glory. They say to one another, perhaps it would be a good idea if we continue to keep a firm hand on AA in this town. Good luck on that one. After all, we are experienced. Besides, look at all the good we've done these drunks. They should be grateful. Really. I'm so glad that never came out. You know what? I started that meeting. They should be grateful. Oh, none of you would know each other if I didn't start this meeting. You don't know that. I've introduced a lot of people to other people. It was supposed to happen. It was what God wanted. This isn't an area for Dion to take credit. Although in the past I wanted to. Like none of these people would even know each other. I even did it with my kids, right? Because my son and my stepdaughter are married. I'm like, you two wouldn't even know each other if it wasn't for me. You better show a little fucking respect, right? True, founders and their friends are sometimes wiser and more humble than this, but more often at this stage they are not. Now, how was I able to avoid this? Reading tradition too. That's how I was able to avoid it. Thank you, people that came before me, so that I don't have to redo and go through the same growing pains that they did. They listed them here. Okay. The traditions are one long 10th step on how to not do it. Growing pains now beset the group. Panhandlers panhandle, lonely hearts pine, problems descend like an avalanche. Still more important, murmurs are heard in the body politic, which swell into a loud cry. Do these old timers think they can run this group forever? Let's have an election. The founder and his friends are hurt and depressed. They rush from crisis to crisis and from member to member pleading, but it's no use. The revolution is on. It's a revolution, my friends. The group conscious is about to take over. Now, you can avoid this by saying, hey, let's have a group conscious. Let's do some voting. Let's get this stuff taken care of. Be the one that does it then. If you're going to be the leader, then you need to lead. And sometimes that means stepping down. Okay. Now, we have what's called the spirit of rotation. Right. I'm the treasurer of our group, 2-year commitment. After that, it's going to be over with. Okay. Now, they're usually 1 year, but GSR and treasurer are a little bit longer because you have to change names on bank accounts and other stuff. And doing it every year is kind of a pain in the butt. And the bank goes, what are you guys doing? You keep changing the name on the bank account. And yeah, so we got it. Right. So, but I remember somebody said, hey, we're going to go to this guy. We're celebrating the fact that he was treasurer for 20 years. And I said, 20 years? I'm not going to go celebrate something that is against the traditions. He should have stepped down 18 years ago. I'm not going to celebrate selfishness. No. But it's a horrible reason. 20 years. Thanks. What about the people that needed to do service work? And you took that from them because, you're selfish. Okay. Term limits. Now comes the election. If the founder and his friends have served well, they may, to their surprise, be reinstated for a time. I was reinstated for a time. Yeah. If, however, they have heavily resisted the rising tide of democracy, they may be summarily beached. In either case, the group now has a so-called rotating committee, very sharply limited in its authority. In no sense whatever can its members govern or direct the group. They are servants. I am not. I may be a leader, but in AA, I'm a trusted servant. I went and did sound at the church. Does that make me a leader? No, I was a trusted servant. I was trusted to run the sound, make sure Zoom was working, that everybody could hear the organ, that, the camera's moving. Yeah, I'm a servant and I don't need to be more than that. Right. And I love being the center of attention. So, you know, but it's okay. I don't always have to be the center of attention. Mm, right. In no sense whatever can its members govern or direct the group. They are servants. There's sometimes thankless privilege of doing the group's chores. Yeah. At grassroots, I still host and do the timer most of the time. I don't know why people can't figure out the timer. It's just an app on it. I think a lot of people might be scared to do it. So what do we do? So what's the answer to that? Okay. Well, we're going to have another training on how to host and and do the timer. This is the best way to do it. This is the best way to encourage it. Okay, but I can't be like, oh man, I have to do it. I started the meeting. I really don't mind hosting and doing the timer. I have it down. In fact, when somebody else hosts, like once a week, there's another person that hosts on Thursday. I don't know what to do. I have a bunch of free time on my hands, right? So, headed by the chairman, they look after public relations and arrange meetings. Their treasurer, strictly accountable, takes money from the hat that is passed, banks it, pays the rent and other bills, and makes a regular report at business meeting. Secretary sees that literature's on the table, looks after the phone answering service, answers the mail, and sends out notice of meetings. Such are the simple services that enable the group to function. The committee gives no spiritual advice, judges no one's conduct, issues no orders. Every one of them may be promptly eliminated at the next election if they try this. And so they make the belated discovery that they are really servants, not senators. These are the universal experiences. Thus, throughout AA does ed the group conscious decree the terms upon which its leaders shall serve. All right. Now you may be asking yourself, what? You can't kick people out of a meeting? No, really, you can't. Even on Zoom, I understand that, what, but really we should not be having, and I've been involved with this too. And we made a wrong, and I'm telling you, we made the wrong decision. We were incorrect because it created a division and that group it ended up falling apart. And I think it was based on that decision. All right. We had two people arguing. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics on this, but really, when it comes down to it, we're not supposed to be kicking anybody out of a meeting. We're not. Where's our trust in God? Where's our faith in God? What is the right answer? Maybe here's a good one. Here's a really good, and this isn't anything about kicking people out. I've noticed that people are talking in between other people at our meeting. Okay. Now I saw that, and what was the first thing that I did? I talked to somebody else about it, and I thought on it for a few days. I'm like, wait a minute, Dion, you do the same thing. Now you may be a little more eloquent or blah blah blah. No, I'm not. Okay. So this isn't when it comes to the group conscious, I'm not going to sit there and say, "Hey, you can't be doing it that way." Nope. Since I'm the one that started the meeting and I wanted to be the leader, people look at me, they respect me, and they copy what I do, and that's okay because I stole it from other people too. So, you're not copying anything Dion original or anything. All right. Even at the end of the meetings, anybody have a burning desire? It means you're going to go drink or hurt yourself or someone else. People tend to repeat what I do. Okay. So I need to be the example. Dion was the one doing it. And people were repeating it because they thought it was the right thing. So that's how I can bring it. That's how I get to bring it up. Hey, you guys, I noticed that I'm doing this. And then that way people don't feel singled out or anything. Because that doesn't need to happen either. Right? What is it? Well, it's crosstalk. Right? And it comes from my codependency of wanting to help people when really all I need to say is, I really appreciate this part. I love your share. Who's next? All right. And I need to save that for the parking lot meeting. Yeah. Now nobody needs to feel bad. Nobody needs to feel good. Because do I feel bad about it? No, not really. No. Does it need to change? Yeah. Yes. But I don't need to have these overwhelming feelings about it either. All right. Ooh, we're still going here. We got another 2.5 pages. We're not gonna. I'm only gonna do a couple more paragraphs here. So, such are the simple services that the committee gives no spiritual advice. Also, they big believes they are really servants, not senators. These are the universal experiences. Thus, throughout AA, does the group conscious decree the terms upon which its leaders shall serve. Right. So, as a leader, where do I take my direction from the group conscience? It is not a decision I just up and make. Like when I decided to record the meeting. Yeah. Then I didn't review it, didn't, see? And it kind of went the wrong way. Thankfully, it didn't hurt anybody or break any anonymity. So thank you, God, for that. Right. This brings us straight to the question: does AA have real leadership? Most emphatically, the answer is yes. Yeah, we do. But these leaders, I was just describing it. I get my, but without the group, there is no leader, right? So even though I may be a leader, it's only in the fact that there's other people there. That's it. It's nothing more than that. It doesn't need to be, well, I'm up here and you're down there and I know more. Do people come to me and ask me a lot of questions? Sure they do. Sure they do. But I know a lot about this. Mm, all right. Well, this is a long paragraph, so we're going to do this paragraph and kind of wrap up. Let's turn again to the deposed founder and his friends. What becomes of them as their grief and anxiety wear away? A subtle change begins. Ultimately, they divide into two classes, known in slang as the elder statesmen and the bleeding deacons. I've been both of these in my 22 years of being in AA. The elder statements is the one who sees the wisdom in the group's decision. That's what I did with, that's what I did with grassroots, who holds no resentment over his reduced status. I was happy. It makes me so happy. Right? I think it was last week sometime. It was like last Friday, I think. Last Thursday. I couldn't go to the meeting. They didn't need me. It made me really happy. I missed the meeting, but that was cool. It made me happy. I want it to be taken over. I want it to get to a point where nobody in the group knows who started the meeting. That's where I want it. Doesn't need to happen. May never happen. It's going to be 20 years down the road. All right. The elder statement sees the wisdom group say he holds no resentment over his reduced status, whose judgment, fortified by considerable experiences, sound, and who's willing to sit quietly on the sidelines, patiently awaiting development. The bleeding deacon is the one who is just as surely convinced that the group cannot get along without him, who constantly connives for re-election to office, and who continues to be consumed with self-pity. A few hemorrhaged so badly that, drained of all AA spirit and principle, they got drunk because they needed to be something more than they were. They don't understand the sacrifice. Okay. An elder statesman is willing to sacrifice because they see the wisdom in the group decision. Right. Because I'm sure there are people out there that are better at doing what it is that I do, and that's okay. Then you have some people that don't know it yet. Well, what is that? Well, that's a chance for me to provide service work to help other people out. Because see, I don't do the trainings for the hosting. I don't do that part. It is somebody else in the group that does that. And I think it would really help them right now to do some service work. I really do. And they're good at it. They're much better at training people on Zoom than I am. Why? Because they have an IT background. So they do that. They do it. They teach people how to do this stuff all day. Somebody better at it than I am. Great. Yes. Yes, absolutely. All right. At times, the AA landscape seemed to be littered with bleeding forms. Nearly every old timer in our society has gone through this process to some degree. Happily, most of them survived and live to become elder statesmen. They become the real and permanent leadership of AA. Theirs is the quiet opinion. Okay. Now, I consider myself more of an elder statesman, but I can tell you right now, I have no quiet opinions. That is physically impossible for me. None of my opinions are quiet. The sure knowledge and the humble example that resolve a crisis. When sorely perplexed, the group inevitably turns to them for advice. They become the voice of the group conscious. In fact, these are the true voice of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I'm not going to sit here and claim that. I'm not, but I do feel it. And I also think I'm worthy of it. This is the experience which has led us to the conclusion that our group conscious, well advised by its elders, will be in the long run wiser than any single leader. All right. Now, we didn't get all the way through the chapter, but I think that gives you a rough idea of whoa, spill my coffee. Of what tradition two is, that nobody really leads AA. We all have a say. I don't care if you've been there a week, you still get a say at a group conscience. At least in grassroots, you do. So, all right, everybody, be careful out there today. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and keep on.